Hello everyone and welcome back to the Odious Soul. My name is Shannon and today we're going to talk about the new perspective that I've come back to the chase with. Now, let me tell you, a lot's happened. My mind's been wondering, questioning my own sanity and my own reasoning and the facts and the data. And sometimes I do wonder, am I going too far? Am I going too far north? Am I going to Montana and Wyoming area? Am I crazy? So I've forced myself to relook at New Mexico. And in talking with a couple other searchers who are in New Mexico and listening to their solves, it begs to question, why start where you're starting? That's not a good starting place. That's not warm water's hot. It's not anything. And it brought a good question to my head. Where exactly does this treasure hunt start? Where does it begin? And I know the poem says begin it where warm water's hot, but could there be a more logical starting place? Are we missing something huge? Now, I want you to think for a second, okay? Where did Forrest Fenn first publish his poem? Hopefully you answered correctly and you got the Thrill of the Chase book. If so, congratulations, okay? Now, where is the only place you can buy that book? If you answered Amazon or eBay, that is incorrect. The correct answer is the Collected Works Bookshop in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Now, I'm actually just going to Collected Works. Boom. This little place right here. Okay, now yes, you can get it on Amazon. Yes, you can get it on eBay. I'm sure you can find it other places as well. But the reality is, any of those places had to buy it directly from Collected Works Bookshop. So Forrest only allows this one place in the entire world to sell this book, okay? Which just so happens to be where the poem is being published. So it does make sense that the treasure would be relatively close to this, right? It's not 3-4 states away. So what if, and just go with me on this, what if Collected Works Bookshop is the starting location of the chase? Now, I know. It's a building, there is, it's a structure. I'm not saying it's part of the clues of the poem. Not saying that, okay? Like I said, this is to challenge your thoughts here. But what if, imagine, you go into Collected Works, you buy the book, you go grab a cup of coffee from the coffee shop, and you sit down and you read the poem for the first time. All right? What if you get up and you walk outside and you start trying to follow that poem right from there? Would it work? Well, I can't make it work, but there's a couple things that are a little too close and too near and too coincidental that I have to point them out to see if anybody can take it from where I've gone and maybe take it farther, maybe take it to the treasure point. So let me just run through a couple things here. The first clue in the poem that I believe, and of course this is all about opinions, this whole chase. So I believe the first real clue, for a location, is begin it where warm water's hot. Now, is it a coincidence that right on the corner where this bookshop is West Water Street? I mean, it's not warm water, but it is Water Street. So, if you take it to where it dead ends, you kind of gotta, play a little bit. One part of the street is one way, the other part of the street is one way in the other direction, at least according to the arrows. So, where's the canyon from there? Don't see one. However, if you come down just a little bit here, there is a canyon road. Right there. Bam! There is a canyon road in Santa Fe. So, let's backtrack here. All right, so Water Street is back over here. And Canyon Road starts right there. close. Not connecting, but then again, maybe I'm not exactly sure. Maybe that's not exactly where Water Street ends in real life. Like, who knows? I might be missing something. But I still just find that quite coincidental, okay? So obviously I haven't been able to make anything work with Water Street and Canyon Road, but just quite the coincidences. So taking it the next step, is there an actual canyon in Santa Fe or around Santa Fe? And there is. There is the Santa Fe Canyon Preserve, which is not far from Collected Works, not far from where Forrest Fenn himself lives, but all this area here is a preserve, okay? And this is funny because, at least I think it's funny, and I think a lot of weird stuff and stupid stuff is funny. But if you look, there's actually a couple of reservoirs down here. And the Santa Fe River actually starts up here, and the Santa Fe River feeds these reservoirs, and then they release a little bit of water into the Santa Fe River that actually flows through the town of Santa Fe. And just to note, at this preserve, right over here, this little thing right here is the Randall Davy Audubon Center. Guess what? It's kind of a reddish brown building. Homa brown? Maybe? I don't know. But there is a little road that drops off back here. And you can take it past the reservoirs. It goes all the way back, kind of goes along the Santa Fe River here. So potentially, maybe. Problem is it doesn't take you north of Santa Fe. Remember, Forrest Fenn said the treasure is hidden at least 8.25 miles north of Santa Fe. So this may not exactly work, because if you look, we're kind of east of Santa Fe. All right. And if you're wondering exactly where the edge of Santa Fe is, I will show you in a minute. Had to do a little bit more research to figure out exactly where city limit stops on the north. So hold on for that. But I also want to point out, when it comes to the Collected Works bookstore, guess what it is also very close to? The Santa Fe River. Now, I know you can't really see it here because it's not like a real river. Somebody's going to kill me for that one. But the Santa Fe River actually flows like a block from the bookstore. So, I mean, maybe the Where Warm Waters Hot has something to do with that. The Santa Fe does end up, it is a tributary of the Rio Grande. So I know there's been talks about the warm water fishing regulations. Maybe it's where they stop and the cold water and the trout fishing starts. Maybe that's something you can play with. Still, the problem that I have with all that is that it ends up being the river literally runs southwest. It runs down past the airport. It runs in the opposite direction than I want to go. But now that's not to say that your starting point won't take you away before bringing you back. Lots of people in this chase talk about a circle. Some people talk about a triangle and then the treasure's in the middle. So you might end up going in different directions. Personally, I feel like it should be more of a straight line. Or maybe a curved line that goes around obstacles. I don't personally feel like it's a triangle or a circle. So those are both two things that I've thought of, I've considered, I'd look for possibilities, and then I'm abandoning. So then finally, I gotta remember exactly where, the treasure minimally could be. And could any of these places actually get me there reasonably within 9 clues? Because, my Montana solve did take me like 50 miles away. But Montana's big. 50 miles is nothing in Montana. Santa Fe, a little different. 50 miles is huge in New Mexico. Anyhow, so let me go over here to my Google Earth. So in Google Earth, you see Santa Fe right here, right? Well, if you actually go up here, this yellow line right here that I drew is actually the city limits of Santa Fe. Now I'm just going to bring it up here, okay? This is actually the Santa Fe city limits, okay? And all of this is Santa Fe, all the little color parts, okay? And you see this little weird thing, Monte Sereno. That's the northern tip of Santa Fe city limits, okay? It's right before you get to the Opera House there on, what is it, 20, somebody's going to yell at me for not knowing this. What is this road? 28, 253. Of course, that's not going to tell me. Come back here. 285, sorry, 285. All right. So right here you see there's an opera house, Santa Fe Opera House. Of course, it doesn't even say that, but yeah, so Santa Fe Opera House is up here. The city limits is right below it, okay? So that's just knowledge for you to know. So if that is the city limits, where's 8.25 miles north of that? Well, it's 8.25 north of that. So here's Santa Fe. Here's where the canyon that I was thinking, the Santa Fe Canyon Preserve area. Here's where the Santa Fe River goes down. And here, this line has to be hidden above that. I just feel like that's a little far. Now I know some people question, is it actually 8.25 miles north and then draw a straight line? Could it be 8.25 miles northwest and northeast? And if that's the case, then it's more of a radius around the city center. Around the city limits. Is it 8.25 miles from the city limits? Or is it 8.25 miles from the city center? These are all questions that we don't have definitive answers to because, as we know, Forrest loves to talk in riddles. He loves to speak and give answers that make us question and go insane. So, but then it comes back to, obviously, he didn't go out and actually, measure with like a tape measure or his, odometer on his car to make sure it was 8.25 miles. He knew it was at least 8.25 miles. But why? How did he at least know it? And I would have to say it's because it's at least a certain distance away from his home. Like, he knows it is at least 30 miles from his house. And he knows, or at least 60 miles. Or he knows it's in a different state, which is definitely farther away. I keep coming back and exploring and researching New Mexico, Santa Fe. I keep coming back and looking for things that click. And I have a really hard time. Like, every time I come here, I really have to stretch my thoughts, my reasoning, my rationalization to get anywhere close to coming up with anything. And I know, my first solve, and I'm sure you guys experience too, your first solve is so hard to get past. And it's not like I'm in love with my first solve, but I do love my Where Warm Waters Halt. I do love my Canyon Down. From there, I'm not in love with everything. Here, I can't even find a Warm Waters Halt that makes sense to me. Lord knows there's lots of options. West Water Street, Santa Fe River. I know there's lots of people that talk about Agua Fria, and Ojo Caliente. There's options, but it's hot. It's cold. I don't really see any warm waters. And yes, maybe it is that you have to stick your toe in it and feel it. Maybe. But then again, that also has some challenges to it. You know, being in the mountains with the different elevations, temperatures change throughout the seasons. You know, Santa Fe does get snow. Santa Fe also gets a little warm. But would water still be warm in the wintertime? Even if it was warm in the summer? Or if it was warm in the winter, would it be hot in the summer? I just challenge it. So I might not be of any help with this video. But I do want to go back to, could Collected Works Bookstore be the intended start point for this chase? Could Santa Fe or Forrest Home, and let me just put a disclaimer, you do not need to go to Forrest Home to start the chase. Stay away from Forrest Home, respect his privacy, but Forrest Home's in Santa Fe. So even if you just start in Santa Fe, obviously, you're probably not going to start immediately there. But, you know, if you do the research and you find something that intrigues you in Santa Fe, you know, more power to you. But honestly, this is another rabbit hole that I'm trying to get down, but having, you know, extreme difficulties here. I really, really, really want to find a better warm waters halt than I have now. I want to find one that makes more sense. I want to find one that when I figure it out, it feels true inside. There is something about the human intuition that I hold very dearly to me. So, unfortunately, I know Santa Fe is supposed to be a magical city full of arts and history and, you know, all kinds of, you know, I don't want to say voodoo, but you know what I mean. Magic. But I don't feel it. And I try to feel it as the city so hard. Guess I'm just going to have to keep trying.